My name is Laurie Ralston. I'm the director of IT at the Sandra College of Law, which is a the reason why I decided to do this talk is based on an idea that I had. I'd gone to a conference last month called the Sloan C Conference in Costa, Arizona, and it was all about emerging technologies for online learning. And it was great. I don't know if anybody went to it, but it was all, there were concurrent sessions in Second Life, and we were talking about Twitter and memes and all kinds of interesting things. It really got me jazzed, but I wonder, do students use these things already? Are these things that they even know about? And it got me thinking, and I actually had been setting up the survey before I went, but it got me thinking about a lot of things. And in my job, a lot of what I do is trying to figure out ways to help faculty and staff use technology in ways that are not a burden to them, that are easy, that they can easily quickly learn the technology. But I really thought about it in terms of students. And I wanted to know, are there ways that we can use technologies that students already use to either communicate with them or to enhance their learning experience? And really not knowing what they do use. So I did this survey. And why did I serve? You have to forgive me, I had eye surgery on Monday, and I've gone from being extremely nearsighted to farsighted. So I'm going to look at the screen instead of my laptop, so I really can't see. I wanted to know, what do they currently use? What kind of technologies, what kind of online services? And how do they want to use those current technologies in ways that, like I said, would either be ways for the law school to communicate with them, or for them to use in their learning. And then what new types of technologies might they want to use, or new ways to use the technologies that they already have. So we asked students some demographic information, just mostly to find out their age groups. Wow. I also asked them what kind of technologies they currently use, what were acceptable ways for the law school to utilize their technologies, and I also asked them about online learning interests, experiences and interests, as well as situational learning. So I had 91 students respond to the survey. Some of my super students. Most of them were JD students. We do have 3 master's programs, so I've got a sprinkling of those in here, but most of them are JD students.
Is the mic working?
Oh gosh, dang it. Thank you. I'm going to turn it on while I went to the restroom. Okay. That'll be the first thing they hear on the recording now. Laurie Ralston. Okay. And I've done AV for years. You think of all people, I would remember to turn the mic on. Thank you. Saved me. Okay, so most of the students that responded were JD students with a sprinkling of master's students. Most of them, more than half, not most of them, sorry, more than half of them were fall 3Ls. Now, my plan is I'm going to do this survey every year. And I wanted to include the incoming 1Ls, but my admissions director kind of nixed that for now. She wanted to wait until we were sure who was coming to school. So for some reason, I did not ask anyone else, but somebody told me that they were a 1L. So it's almost half and half between the fall 3Ls and the 2Ls. And a little more than half were men and the rest female, which is almost what our population is anyway, so it's a good representation. This was the interesting thing to me. The ages of the respondents ranged from 22 to 57 years. of age, but 76% of the respondents were in their 20s. So I thought, this is going to be a super tech-savvy group. I was wrong. The first thing I asked them is, so what do you use now? 100% said cell phone. So that's good. We know everybody has a cell phone. 63% said they had an iPod. Arizona State University has iTunes University. So we do post a lot on there and are going to be posting more. So that's good news for us. And then another 27% said that they had some other kind of MP3 player. So that's, that's a good chunk there. That's what, I'm horrible at math, but about 85% have some kind of audio player. 98% have laptops. We do not require laptops. We just highly recommend them. This is pretty consistent for in years past that we've had about 97% bring laptops. Only 16% had a BlackBerry or Trio, and only 12% had something like a Palm Pilot or a Pocket PC or some other kind of like PDA type unit. Although you might call the BlackBerry that as well. Almost with all the questions that I asked them, I let them comment. So some of the comments on this, someone said they had a voice recorder webcam, which I have no idea what they would be using that for in class, but who knows. Others kind of smartphones, such as iPhone and Blackjack, and I'm pretty sure those students just wanted to kind of brag that they had those. And then someone said PlayStation Portable. And I thought, I don't know what the law school application of that could be, but I'm going to look into it.
Could I just interrupt you for one
Yes,
minute?
please.
I'm the dean at the law school, and I'm so sorry to get to meet you all yesterday and welcome you. But obviously, this is the place to be.
Yeah. Who knew?
We're running out of space, but we're going to work at creating an overflow room too. So if people come in, if you could just.
Wow.
So and it looks like we should try.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
one right here. There's a couple over here. Two back there.
So obviously, whatever you're doing is.
I hope I live up to this.
Yeah, right. That's what I set it up.
Thank
But
you.
I just wanted to express, I think you all met Michael Honolstein yesterday, and I was out of town, and I was hoping to get her this morning in time to welcome you to Westminster. So first of all, have a great time. Enjoy Baltimore. This weather is like it is 360. And have fun.
Well, you know what? Since so many of you just popped in, and since I didn't have my microphone turned on in the beginning, I'm going to kind of give myself a reintroduction. I apologize to the people that have heard this already. I'm Laurie Ralston. I'm the Director of IT at the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law, which is at Arizona State University. What a mouthful that is. I love saying it on my voicemail. And the reason that I did this survey that I'm showing in this presentation is because I've always really focused on faculty and staff and what their needs are for using technology in new ways that really help them do their job in easier and better ways that doesn't turn into a burden for them to learn the technology. And I started thinking about it in terms of students. What can we do for the students to help them have a better experience either with their communications with the law school or in their learning process by using technologies that they already have. So that's where we are. Let me just back up one. This is kind of the crux of it. I wanted to know what technologies they already had. 100% have cell phones. About 85%. Somebody can do the math for me. I don't do it in my head. I can't. I have a 13-year-old can do it like that. I can't do it. It's too much else in there right now. But about 85% have some kind of audio player, either an iPod or an MP3 player, and 98% of our students do have laptops. And then, like I said, I'm trying to figure out what a law student would be doing with a PlayStation Portable that would help them educationally, but who knows? So I also asked a lot about kind of Web 2.0-ish online services, and so here's a couple, Myspace and Facebook. I have teenagers, and Myspace is the thing. I have a teenage stepdaughter who's 15 that can spend hours on Myspace, which I can't quite figure out. I have a Myspace page, and it takes me about 5 minutes to go, okay, you know, change my emoticon of what my mood is, and I'm pretty much done. And these law school age students, really 64% said they never used it. Facebook, on the other hand, is a little bit different. More than half of the students said that they do use it, either a lot or some of the time, which I think is pretty interesting. It's possibly because ASU, you know, has an official Facebook presence, but I don't know. You know, I really don't know why that is. But then again, 33% never use that either, so they're the students. Another thing, like I said, ASU is an iTunes university, so I wanted to know about that. And then, of course, YouTube is everywhere right now, so I wanted to know about that. iTunes used quite a lot, actually.
Can't see you.
I'm everywhere now. I'm on television. But iTunes is used quite a lot, 62% either a lot or some of the time. For us, we haven't quite, we put a couple of courses online, plus we have some open channels. We have an event channel that we broadcast. We put up audio recordings of events that we have at the law school. We have an IT podcast that I've done in a year, 2 podcasts. We have a library podcast, which, I don't know, do you do that?
We've done about 2 for
Yeah.
past year.
As well as we have a student group, our Sports and Entertainment Law Students Association, SELSA, has a podcast now, and we have a very enterprising law student who has a background in video production and audio production, and he goes out and interviews the sports people and posts them up there. So we do that, but in the fall we're going to be doing a lot more of that. Our university has bought a blanket license for Echo 360's enhanced podcast, which is basically the audio with the slides, which is so cool because it's going to enable us to remotely schedule rooms for the professors who want their classes audio recorded, and then it'll automatically, the professor needs to walk in and remember to turn on the microphone, so I've got someone else in here whose job it is to make sure that happens. And then it automatically starts and stops, and once it's done, it's tied to a course number, which uploads it to the iTunes, the proper place, and also puts a link in the Blackboard site, all automatic. So I think we'll be doing a lot more of that, so this is good news to me, that we do have so many students who at least use iTunes a lot or some of the time. YouTube, about half do, not as much, but we've also noticed that a lot of law schools are getting, I don't know what they call it in YouTube. Is it a channel? I think it is. Stanford's got one, USC's got one, with little tours about the law school and kind of recruiting information. So I think that's something that we're going to pursue. We were thinking about it anyway, and this is, to me, indicates that that would probably be a good thing. Other Web 2.0, some stuff I am using a lot, some stuff I'm not using so much. Wanted to know about what they're doing. Well, Flickr, I use Flickr all the time on a personal level. But no one answered that they used it a lot, and only 13 people said that they used it sometime or used it a little. That probably works out to about 17%. And then 36 people out of about 90 said they'd never heard of it, which just floored me. Ning, anybody use Ning here? Anybody a Ninger? I signed up for it, that's all I've done. Does everybody know what Ning is? It's basically a social networking site to build groups. That
a good explanation of it for you Ingers. And I heard of it from a library friend of mine, not a law librarian, but and 66, so basically 2/3 of the respondents had never heard of that either. And then Twitter, I'm sure there's more Twitter users out there, which I've signed up for but don't use it all that much. But 57 of the people had not even heard of Twitter, which I also found a bit surprising. But they are law students and they are busy, so. We're a Google university. In fact, we have a Google office on campus, so we're tied to them tightly. Arizona State does use Gmail for student email now, and it's required, which is why I did not ask, because I know they have it. And for those people who want to know, it's been a very good experience. They've done a really good job. Students, once they got over the whole, China giving all the information to the Chinese government thing, they are law students, so.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have routed your presentation to the registration room that has tables and chairs if anyone
If you want
needs to.
Or you can stay here live if you want to.
One big happy family. I'll
Thank
send
you.
everyone else.
Thank you. So I didn't ask them about email because they are required to have, that's all we do. We're not in the business of student email anymore, although we still have use Outlook Exchange for faculty and staff, because people keep asking me that, so just in case you want to know. So I asked about Google Groups, which I've been using with faculty a lot. I've set up mini groups for faculty who are writing a book chapter with faculty from other universities, or arranging a conference or whatever, and with good results. And if I figure, and forgive me if you're faculty, I figure if the faculty can do it, the students ought to be able to do it. And I've had students ask me, we have this, we have the student org and we want a Blackboard site, and I'm like, you really ought to just do a Google group, because then you can administer it, you can make the changes, you can do whatever, and a lot of them just want Blackboard sites, because that's what they know. They don't want to try anything different. I have had a couple student groups that did it, but mostly they don't want to. Part of our Google educational apps is the docs and spreadsheets. This I'm not so surprised about. About 22% said that they used a lot or some of the time. Most of them come in and they purchase Office, or they use we're a Dell university as well, so if they get a Dell, they get WordPerfect with it. It comes with it. If they get Macs, they usually end up buying the Mac Office suite. So they don't use it all that much, and 6 people, which amazes me, because at the beginning of each semester I say, here are some cool tools available to students. And this is one of the ones I really talk up because it's free. And obviously they don't read my emails, which we'll talk about later. No. And then this is funny. Google, does everybody know about Google Sites? There's now a new product. I think it's available to everybody. I don't think it's just an educational app. But basically it's a really easy way to build a web page, although it drives me crazy, but that's because I do web pages, real ones. But if you've never done a web page, it's basically click on an area, paste in your text, or download a picture, whatever you want to do, and it builds a pretty cool little website. So I asked them, and 49, about half of them said, yeah, we use that. I'm almost positive they think I'm asking them about Google search. I don't think they even know what I'm talking about. So I kind of think that is a 0, a big 0. I don't think any of them really know what I'm talking about on that one. I asked about online virtual worlds, not expecting a lot, although we do have a Center for the Study of Law, Science, and Technology, and there are several clusters of students, and one of the clusters is a virtual worlds cluster. And I've done presentations for them, as well as we had a little workshop and did some other things. So it's not a complete foreign idea to everybody at the law school. But apparently the group that responded to my survey, they're not in that cluster. Because no one answered. They used it a lot or some. And then about 27% said that they had never actually even heard of it. Which, I mean, it's everywhere. I don't know how you could not have at least read about it in the Wall Street Journal, for goodness sake. I mean, it's everywhere. So that was kind of surprising. And then I said, what about other virtuals? You know, maybe they're World of Warcraft players or do some of these other online worlds. Neopets. You know, I have a 13-year-old that was big in Neopets for a while. Now he plays RuneScape. Is that right? Okay. All I know is it cost me $5 to let him buy some shield or something. I figured it was a good deal. $5 for a shield sounds pretty good. But then, you know, pretty much, I have obviously one kind of geeky guy who said, yeah, I use it a lot. So pretty much nobody else. RSS feeds are big. Every site you go to, there's a button, you know, an RSS feed, especially now that I put them on my Yahoo start page. I have like a bazillion of them on my Yahoo start page of all kinds of different stuff. Some legal, law, technology related, some about cooking and travel and, you know, other things I like to do. So it's easy. It's really easy. I was shocked. 44% said they never used, and 34% had no idea what I was talking about. That just shocked me. That was completely unexpected. Blogs. I'm sorry. I decided I was going to shake it up and do a different style of graph, and they're really confusing because it flipped the... Anyway, I will explain it. I wanted to know, do they read blogs or do they write blogs? Well, some of them, well, hold on, I can't remember if I added something to this one. Yeah. About half of them said, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Dang, I gave it away. About 30% of them said that they read blogs, some are a lot of the time. Hardly anyone's doing blogs, which I kind of find amazing. We have a class, which I sometimes co-teach, called Creative Writing for Lawyers, and basically it's that attempt to try to kind of undo some of the legal writing instruction that they've got to, in order to, you know, with the premise that judges like to read interesting things too. And so you can write briefs that are explanatory and have all the legal stuff that needs to be in there, but they can be compelling and interesting and maybe even entertaining a little bit so that the judge will actually read it and not just say, oh, forget it, you know, gloss over it. You might have a chance that judge would really read it. So I thought this is a great way. And I proposed this to my co-teacher who is on our Board of Regents for the state of Arizona. Very nice man, very tech savvy, but just really couldn't get his mind around the idea of the students writing blogs. So now, instead of that, they write a little, you know, very short pieces. The assignments are very short. And then they all email them to each other, and it's just really crazy. And I think I'm going to try to do it again because he's teaching it again this fall and try to get him to use a blog. So I'm hoping this will change next year because I plan on giving this survey again. Wikis, a little more, and since I already gave it away. About half of the people read sometimes or a lot. 15% never heard of it, and that kind of confuses me too because I know in our legal writing classes that they talk about, you know, using Wikipedia or not using Wikipedia as a resource or as a source. So I know, and apparently they hear that and they don't question, well, what's Wikipedia? Or they're not paying attention. Maybe they're on their computers and not paying attention. Maybe we need to turn off the internet. Just kidding. So that was kind of surprising. And then, but write wikis, not so surprising. Although, you know, I got to think there's a lot of legal ed type wikis out there that they might want to contribute to, but they're busy guys and gals. So clickers, I asked them, you know, including your undergraduate classes, how many have used clickers? Most of them had either used it a little bit or some, or not at all. And then 18% had never heard of it, which not too surprising. I'm whipping through this really fast, so stop me if you have a question. All right, so cell phone texting. Again, I have teenagers, and they're, you know, glued to their cell phones. And that's pretty common. This pretty much was what I thought. About 75% said that they texted either a lot or some. I thought, this is great. You know, this is something maybe we can figure out a way to use. Well, like only 6 out of the group said that they never use it, and nobody said they didn't know what it was. That was reassuring. And then instant messaging, again, half of the students say they do it a lot or some of the time. I thought that's good. Maybe we can find a way to utilize that in a helpful way for them. And then about, not quite a half, you know, about half don't use it much or not at all. And I'm going to post this. I'll post this presentation. I'm also going to kind of post a report that actually has the data. So if you want to use the data for whatever, you can. Other tools that they said they used, Google Chat or Talk, OpenOffice, Skype. And then somebody put this, I obviously have one really geeky person in the survey because I don't even know what these are. Does anybody know what these websites are? Have you? I don't. So I didn't get a chance to check out what they are, but there they are if you want to check them out. I'm not sure what an image board is. I don't know if it's just a place where images are posted and you can use them. I don't know. And then our big thing is we don't do any online learning, but we have a new dean coming in, and one of the duties that was placed on his plate by our provost was that we will be getting our master's programs put online. So I wanted to kind of know what our current students, even though it won't be focused on JDs, it'll be focused more on the master's. I kind of wanted to know what their experiences had been, and also, once we get the programs up, if those same online classes were made available to the JD students within the ABA constraints, if they would be interested. So I asked them if they had taken a previous class online. About half said yes, which kind of surprised me. It was good. And then, or I asked them, what about a partially online class? And less had taken that, which again, that's something you can do under MBA constraints. So I think I need to work with my faculty a little bit more and get them to understand that they can do a little bit more of that if they want.
Question about online class. Did you give any response to their experience
I don't think I asked that, but just I can't remember. I don't think I asked them that, although I did offer them an opportunity to talk about online classes, and I have some comments in here that might answer your question. He asked, did they say if they liked their experiences or not? I asked them if you could take a class at the law school, if you could take an online class at the law school, would you? And about half said yeah. So that's interesting. And I asked, and this kind of surprised me. I asked if you did want to take a class, would you prefer it to be synchronous or asynchronous? I guess it didn't surprise me too much, but most said asynchronous. And I did explain what synchronous and asynchronous meant, because you all know, a lot of people don't get that. But I was kind of surprised that 35% actually said that they want synchronous classes. Now, I have a doctorate from Pepperdine, which I did in a partially online program, and we did both, and I find both valuable. I like the live chats because it was really a kind of I mean, we did a lot of discussion, but it was more of a social thing where you could really connect with your classmates. And when you're an online student, the JDs wouldn't be such an issue, but with our master's levels, that connection is what really keeps you involved in the program and what keeps you from feeling isolated, which is a big problem with online learners. But we also did news groups, and this was not before Blackboard, but at the beginning of Blackboard. So we didn't have Blackboard. We used a bunch of different tools. And I like the asynchronous too, because as you guys all know, there are some students who just can't think on the fly as well as other students, but if you give them a time to sit down and kind of thoughtfully think about what they want to say and what their responses are, they turn out to be brilliant people in discussion boards. Also, it's good for people with disabilities. I have a colleague from Pepperdine, a classmate who is deaf. And until we started having discussions online, I really didn't know how brilliant he was, because even though he had an interpreter and he could talk, he just didn't much in class. But when we got online, you didn't know that he had any disabilities, because he's just brilliant. So about, most of them said asynchronous, but there was a good portion, about a third, that said synchronous. I also want to know, because we are planning on using the Echo 360, if students like the idea of having their classes recorded so they could go back afterwards, maybe before finals, listen to them. I'm sorry, this is for online classes. I got ahead of myself. If they were recorded, would you prefer that they have audio, video, and slides, or just audio and slides? Personally, I can't imagine sitting and watching video after video after video. But this is the one that surprised me, 82% said they wanted the video. Well, most law school classes, think about it. It's a talking head. I mean, there's no it's not like engineering or something where there's lots of diagrams, although we do have some classes that are like that. But mostly it's a guy or gal standing at the front of the room talking, with a lot of discussion. But if we're doing lectures for online classes, there's not going to be that discussion. It's just going to be, that sage on the stage kind of thing.
Was it clear that the video would be just a talking head?
It wasn't, and I think that might have been a problem in the fact that although half of them have had online classes, so it's not like they're totally foreign to the idea of what an online class is, and they've all had law classes, so I would assume that they would kind of figure that out. But no, they didn't explicitly say, that it would be, a headshot of someone talking for, 20 minutes or whatever we decided to do. Okay, so podcasts, I asked if you could have your class, your regular face-to-face class recorded. I'm keeping in mind that I wanted to get the little disclaimer, you still need to go to class, because that's the first thing our faculty says. Well, won't students just not come to class? And I said, do you require them to come to class? Yes. Then they still have to come to class. This is an added thing. I said, would you like that if we put it to iTunes? And we had almost 80% said yes. So that's heartening for me, because that's going to be a big push for us this year as we kind of ramp up and start figuring out how we're going to put these master's programs online. This is kind of our test run on doing online stuff. I did have one student comment who asked for another method for downloading audio files other than iTunes. As you saw in that one, we have about, 60% had iPods, but another 30% had something else. It's those something else people, they don't want to use iTunes if they don't have to. So we are going to have to try to figure out an easy way. That's what I like about iTunes. It's very easy. There's hardly any post-production for us. It all is automated. So we're going to have to find an easy way to do this alternate method of delivery.
You said you were also posting to Blackboard.
Right.
I think Blackboard will do RSS.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
RSS feed.
Yeah, and that's what one of the students said, can't you just set up an RSS feed first? It must have been the one guy who knew what an RSS feed was. But so some of the student comments about online learning and the podcasting for regular classes. One person said that they really thought online classes would be a tremendous addition to the law school curriculum. And that I won't read it all, but basically in light of the ABA requirements, that this person thought that the class would be enthusiastically embraced, which is nice. I mean, I had another comment about, I'm a single parent. Sometimes I have childcare issues and I can't make it to class. So these kind of things would help them as well. But then on the other side, I have someone who says, I just don't think everyone should have access to all the lectures. Or is there some way that you can prevent certain people from listening to it and let other people listen to it based on, I don't know what, but basically, can you limit them to only listening to it once? So we have people who are like, yeah, this is great, let's do it. And other people say, I don't think it's fair. I come to class and I take notes. Well, everybody has to come to class. I mean, that's pretty much a requirement for all our classes. And no.
Because that's what our faculty say about it.
Yeah. No, actually, and I haven't put this to our faculty yet. I have certain faculty who have come to me and asked for it. And in fact, we had a class this last spring where the students started recording it with the faculty members' knowledge, and they brought us the recordings to post. So, this is not going to be something that we're going to require. This is going to be, do you, sir, faculty member, want to do this for your class? Yes. If you don't, we're not doing it. As you know, you can't force a lot of stuff on the faculty.
I'll just say I've been podcasting using the CALI Classcaster for the last 4 years, both either summaries and or lectures. And I do it mostly for my night classes because they have serious issues. I did almost have to throw someone out this year because they decided it was a fair substitute for attendance, but that's the first time in 4 years. But if anyone is interested, I have been doing it for 4 years, and I do have some
That's good. Well,
interests, whatever.
And I think it's just like anything. It's just like the turning the wireless off in the classroom. I think you just really have to have very clear policies that explain that yes, this is being podcast. You do have the ability to re-listen to it, but you are still expected to come to class, and we will still take attendance, and that will still be part of your grade. This is a bonus for you. We did one class last fall, and most of the students ignored it until the end. And then they listened to it before finals, and I got many responses, I didn't ask for them. I got people emailing me out of their own decision saying, this was great. It really helped me kind of fill in my notes, remember what we talked about, remember the discussions. It helped me connect the dots. So I think that for many students, and that we have just different kinds of learners. I have a stepson who can read something. He's in high school, and if he reads it, he can read it. I mean, he reads fine, but then you ask him questions about it, he can't do it. But if you read it aloud to him, he can answer all your questions. And there are students who need that additional oral enhancement addition.
Duke Medical School has been videotaping and audio recording all of their classes. The dean told the faculty tough, basically. And one thing, they did have problems with some of the students not going to classes. Their colleagues told those individuals that it was because their classes were boring, which is probably true. But in a way more interesting, a large number of the students not only listen to the recordings, but they speed them up.
Yeah.
They're not listening to them at normal time.
Right. Well, and not only that, I think that a lot of them might kind of jump through them and just listen to the parts, as they go through their notes. So I don't know exactly what I meant when I wrote this down, and just re-listen to that section. So I personally do not see that it's going to be abused, and I hope that our faculty takes to it well. And like I said, we have a new dean coming in, and he may also make it. I don't think you will, though. I think it's going to be a nice guy to start out with. Yeah, so any other comments on that yet? Okay. So in light of the heavy use of text messaging, I thought, how can the law school use this? Not so much in an educational way, but kind of more in a communication communicating with the students, because I'm sure you all have the same issue that students complain that they get way too much email from the law school. Because, you know, IT sending them stuff, the registrars, career services, student services, all their student orgs, they're getting bazillions of emails a day. I thought, so let's text message them also. So I said, would you be willing to get like law school news, you know, about events coming up? Like, you know, we had Joel come talk at the law school last fall. You know, something like that. Would you want to know that someone like that's coming to law school? About a third of them said yeah. And I asked them, how about student org information? Because that's a lot of the email that they get all the time. Do you want to know meeting times, events, anything like that via text message? A little more than half. So, okay. How about important law school deadlines? How about things like scholarship deadlines or financial aid or career services, or, I mean, there's, you know, visits to, we have a lot of victim services. So we do visits to homeless shelters and all kinds of stuff. Would you like that? 77%. So now I just got to figure out how we can do that. We thought about doing it last fall, and I was trying to find a free. And if you went to Chad Mulder's presentation yesterday, he was all about free stuff. We're all about free stuff too. A free and easy way to do that, but since everybody has different brands of cell phones, there's like a kind of a different format for phones, for texting, for every different service provider. So we couldn't really figure out a way that wasn't going to be really labor intensive for us. So we may end up having to pay for that service if we decide to do it. So here's some student comments about the text messaging. Although they all said, yeah, I'd love to get text messages about deadlines, this is the kind of comments I received. I think receiving messages on your phone would be too much. I wouldn't like to get messages from the law school. And I can set up my own reminders. This one was cute. Please make text messages optional, as some of us would really hate that. And then another one says, I don't have text messaging, unlimited text messaging as part of my plan. But maybe you could allow students to choose. And again, it's that choice, you know, that alternate method of using these technologies that keeps popping up. It's another instance where it popped up. Another thing that I wanted to know is, if we offered these kind of classes, would you take them? A courtroom technology course, which we do offer, 62%. And then a law practice technology course. In other words, what are the kinds of things you use technology in the law firm for? You know, things like hot docs and, you know, setting up a printer and just kind of all kinds of weird things, which we don't teach, but I've been talking about for like 3 years that I think that we need to teach. 91% said that they would take that kind of a class.
In the courtroom technologies class you have, is that a 4-credit class, or is that an option?
It is a 4-credit class. It's a 1-credit class. It's front-loaded in the semester. So we do the first 8 weeks, and then the last 8 weeks they don't, you know, they're done. It's actually a very interesting class. What we do is we give them a case. It's a very simple case. It's about an elderly couple who bought their retirement home, and there ended up being cracks in the foundation. And it's an actual case. It's one of the professors that I co-teach with, it's his in-laws. And so they get the case up front, so they don't have to kind of worry about what the case is, but they're actually using a real case. And then we kind of progress them, kind of step them up in technology. We start with, do a PowerPoint presentation on a, you know, kind of an introductory argument to the judge. And you have to forgive me because I am not a lawyer. So if I use the wrong words, I apologize. I'm a technology person. And then we progress through using CaseMap. Anybody here use CaseMap? No? Yeah, CaseMap is great. CaseMap is basically a database. LexisNexis bought it recently, and it is free to all law schools. And they'll come out and train you and everything. It's really great now.
There's a session later today.
Pardon me?
There's a session later today.
Yes, you should go to it. But basically, it's a database where you can store all the information about your cases, and the best part is linking documents. So if you have a really big case that in the past, as an attorney, you might have drugged like crates of documents that were filed, and all of a sudden you needed one particular document that you know is in there, but you didn't pull out because you didn't know you were going to use it. With Case Map, you can sit down on your laptop and do a word search. You know, if you have the Bates stamps number referenced, or just a word search, you could do a word search and find that document and then display it. It's got just kind of a very remedial, this kind of presentation mode as well. I have a friend that started a business in his garage scanning legal documents, and he used Case Map. And he was in business for about 7 years and got hired by both sides of the Enron case. He said there were a billion documents. And he sold his business for about $10 million a few years ago. And he used Case Map. And it's free, at least to law schools. It's pretty cheap for firms as well. Anyway, so you should go to it if you're interested. Thank you. So we teach them that, and then we end up the semester where they have to kind of do their final argument about, well, why you should fine for the poor elderly folks and their cracked foundation using a trial presentation software. We use Visionary because it's free, but there's other ones like Trial Director, and they're nice because they help you build a case and build a presentation and organize everything. So we kind of step them through that process. It's pretty cool. I think it's useful. And it's a 1-credit class. It's over halfway through the semester. It's kind of stressful for those 8 weeks because they have to learn new software really quickly, and that's my job, is to kind of handhold them through that. But I think the law practice technology course would be useful too. Obviously, I got to find somebody who has worked in a firm to help teach it, because I don't know. I mean, I've worked in offices, but not a law firm. Student comments about that was, I wouldn't want to devote any credit hours to learning about this, but I wouldn't mind having like some lunchtime seminars on it. Although it's kind of more deep than that, in my opinion. We'd have to do a lot of them. But then another person said, I think the courtroom tech law practice class would be a must. I would definitely take it. So that was promising. Okay, this is good. We got 15 minutes. So what does all this mean? To me, these are my conclusions, and maybe we can discuss it a little bit when I'm done. I just don't, at first, students are starting as tech savvy as I thought they were, especially with this younger group, and granted, they ranged from 22 to 29 in the 20s, but just from glancing at, most of them were between 23 and 25, so they're not that far out of undergrad programs. And then second, for every student said that they want this thing, there's another student who says, oh, I hate that. I don't want to do that. So to me, that really, I keep bringing it up, but providing alternate methods for just about everything is really, I think, crucial and key. We have to be willing to be flexible. One of the things that we will do, like we talked about, is offer the class podcast both on iTunes and then another read through RSS. And then if we do text messaging, which I think we will, we'll do it through a voluntary sign-up, opt-in, rather than just assuming everybody wants text messages. I think that we need to kind of take advantage, and this kind of goes back to some of the things that Paul Mahart was talking about yesterday. That we need to figure out a way to use the technologies that they do use, based on the learner control, centered control. On Facebook, iTunes, YouTube, and instant messaging. Those are all things that they are using, and I think those things are going to increase as younger students, move into the programs. And then we need to teach the authentic transaction simulation, which are those classes like the law firm technology and the courtroom technology. So I want to know, what does all this stuff mean to you? Are these kind of things, does this mirror what's going on in your colleges? And what do you think that we can do to harness technology that students already use without overloading them with, what we like to do, which is, the next best thing that comes up, the new iPhone. How many have ordered that already? Or the Mac AirBook, or whatever, a tablet or whatever the big thing is for you. Well, how do we help students use the technology that they already use to enhance their law school experience? So I'll throw that out to you. Anyone? Come on. I know somebody's got to have a comment.
I'll throw a comment out here. One of the things, I'm University of Florida College of Law. One of the things that we struggle with, everything up here I really appreciate. It's a great work. But I'm looking at it from a one to many. You're the one and the students are many. On the other side of the coin, you've got the other many, which is the faculty. So you're going to have to, we have faculty that want to do twin or have courses or build their own website. And I can just envision, well, I have Facebook, or no, I want mine on YouTube. So you run into the problem of taking the same stuff, and I don't know how many people you have in the IT department, but we have a few.
Yeah, we have a few as well.
And be able to, what are the resources required to post this or to maintain it in 5 or 6 different formats? That's the
right.
problem I see.
Right. So if you didn't hear, he's saying, what is it going to take? There's a limit to the alternative method discussion, and you can't post it everywhere. Using the class podcast as an example, the iTunes for us is easy because it's all pretty much automated. We're going to try to find some other very easily automated way. And no, you can't post everything everywhere. I have professors who don't want a Blackboard site. They want to do their own web page, and I have students who want them. They like those web pages, but they don't understand what it takes for the professor to develop those. The ones that have them have been teaching for years and have had the same website for years, and they just update it a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you. There's a danger of kind of taking it too far. We are a very small group. I think there's 6 of us. And we do everything from, basic network maintenance, desktop help, all that kind of stuff, supporting the library, to maintaining all the student laptops. We provide complete service for that. We do, plus all the events. We do all the media. We do all the recordings. We do all that stuff. So, yeah. So part of that is also finding the easy way to kind of try to make more available and more methods. But I agree with you, especially with faculty. So we're not going to ask faculty. We're going to look at students, because we ask faculty, what do you want all the time? We haven't asked the students that since I've been there. When I've been there for 4 years, nothing like this has ever been done since I've been there. Any other? Is anybody else using? Oh yeah, there we go.
You mentioned about the text messaging and students will opt in for whatever. Twitter does all that.
I'm sorry, say that.
Twitter will solve that as
Twitter.
far as text messaging. Students can opt in or out for via email, via phone.
That's
via
true.
whatever.
I didn't think of that.
And Google's Jaiku, assuming if it kills off Twitter, then that's your own option.
Right.
But,
that's a good idea. It's funny because after the Virginia Tech thing last year, our university, which I imagine all universities did this, they all kicked into gear and all got emergency text messaging services. And of course, you had to go sign up for it because with everybody having different cell phone providers, you have to opt in. And then last fall, we had a fire in our student union. And they contained it very quickly. It was not a big deal. And it took them, we didn't get the text message for about an hour after it happened. And so there was kind of a big coup. Oh my gosh, it took an hour. But it was contained. It wasn't going to go anywhere. But the other thing was, there was this huge outroar. Well, I didn't get a text message. Did you sign up? Well, no. I didn't know. It was on our web. I put it on our website, the main ASU website. I had law students going, I didn't know about it. So there's only so much you can do also with just human nature. People, especially students, they don't pay attention to everything. They just can't. It's just too much.
We had a similar issue this past spring. We actually had a lockdown on campus. And what was determined is like 60%, or only like 65% of our entire university population opted in for text messaging.
Yeah.
And they have bombarded us with sign up here, sign up here, sign up here, go into here. I mean, you can do it online. It's so simple. And with the that, we also got emails, and we also had voicemails for faculty and staff, you know,
Right.
on our phones. But what was really interesting is that people from the outside of the university got more information about what was going on than we did. They got it much quicker. So
Yeah.
our students we were locked down in the library. You know, they're chatting with their roommates or whatever, who
Right.
happened not to be there. And,
Right.
you know, we're on the news sites and finding out, you know, I mean, we could hear the helicopters going off overhead and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
you know, it didn't sound as scary on the inside as it did on the outside.
Right.
It could have just been news, people being sensational and all that kind of stuff. You know, we were more annoyed that we couldn't leave.
Right.
You know, than we were scared.
Well, for us, we didn't lock down, but our building is only, I don't know what,
Quarter of a mile.
it's, you know, we can see the building that was on fire. It's, you know, 4 or 5 buildings down from ours. And huge amounts of smoke. And, you know, we were a little freaked out. And, you know, do we need to leave campus?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a big rush off of campus? But word of mouth, actually, we did find out, but it wasn't through the text message. It was through word of mouth.
Yeah.
Our facilities management people passing on information to each other and then them informing us, which is not really how it was designed, but, you know, that works too. Again, alternative methods.
I was going to say, concerning the courtroom technology backwards, a lot of my, I went to university of mine, also work for now, and a lot of my friends now are starting their own firms and whatnot, and one of the things that my friends who did go to law school, one of the things that they said is that there's a huge disconnect between what they learn in the classroom and what they actually deal with once they, you know, deal with the
Right.
So something that I kind of, some of the folks in my department and myself, we come up with, try to come up with a way to implement that as coursework, but there's a cultural issue in the faculty. I don't know if anybody else has the same situation.
Right.
But that's something that we're kind of wrestling with, something I'd love to do based on things that I've heard. I'm not exactly sure how to go
Right.
about
Well,
it.
I tell you what, it's our clinical faculty who is basically the person that started the courtroom technology was the person that heads up our clinical programs. So you're going to find clinical faculty who are actually practicing a lot more, I think, open to those types of classes. That's where I would tell you to go, is talk to your clinical faculty and say, you know, we're interested in this, we think it's useful. I know people who graduated and, you know, they've gone out and they don't know anything about a document camera. They don't even know what it does. You know, they know it's called an Elmo, you know, which ours is not an Elmo, but that's where I would start, is with your clinical faculty, because they might be a little more open to it, to doing that.
When you ask about RSS feeds, did you include things like an iGoogle page or a My Yahoo page?
I didn't. I need to, because that's how I do RSS. It's just, you know, you don't need a big RSS aggregator anymore because Yahoo and Google and those guys do it, you know. But I don't think they know that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that kind of put your numbers askew there is that a lot of people probably use RSS feeds through some method like that, and they don't know.
They don't know that it's an RSS feed. That might be as well. Yeah, exactly. I mean, some of the blog sites you go to, and there's like 80 buttons. There's RSS and deliciosis or whatever, however you say that, and like there's like a bazillion of them there, and I don't know what like the majority of them are, because I don't have time either. But I know what the RSS one is. Okay, well, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for coming. It was really nice.